is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime in association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
On CNB today, the full review of the new Mercedes-Benz C-Class, the new 125cc Honda Activa, and just how good is the AMT on the Maruti Celerio.
Bonjour and bienvenue. This is CNB coming to you from the south of France this week. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnkar, and the reason we are here is to drive the all-new C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Now they're calling it the Baby S. Is it just because of the way it looks, or is there more to that particular moniker that the world press is giving this car? We are here to find out.
The latest from the house of Mercedes-Benz is the latest iteration of its best-selling sedan that has in the past seemed almost humble in comparison to most of its portfolio mates. But now for the first time, it's looking like it can be a flag bearer for the brand. That's the W205, or as the world knows it, the new Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Yes, the new C is bigger, brighter and sexier, and yet it's lighter, more agile and cooler too. I'm driving the car in the south of France on the outskirts of Marseille on the Route de Crête, a gorgeous scenic and twisty drive up into the mountains. The car on your screens is the C220 Bluetech, the most fuel and environmentally efficient diesel on the range. The 220 also turned out to be the right variant to help create a solid first impression. Not overly powerful, not excessively specced out, the C220 in its avant-garde trim is indeed just right. Now since it is the Baby S, let's start with its looks. It certainly looks the offspring, doesn't it? Similar roofline and yet an almost aggressively ostentatious face. Yet, it works. The avant-garde trim grille with a huge three-pointed star also works for me, and it adds a sporty yet classical character to the car. The massive crease in the metal along the sides only enhances that character. The head and tail lamps are right in the block hole when it comes to the new design language and signature design elements from the boys in Stuttgart. And yes, once again, very akin to the S-Class. Totally loving the almost organic feel to the design of the daytime running and chrome elements inside the headlamp cluster. Interestingly, the Global Press Drive offered us 7 engine options on 43 test cars. More than what we're used to, I'll tell you that. But I chose wisely, for even though we won't get the Bluetech avatar, we will see the C220 CDI be the volume driver for this car in India. The car is bigger, but it's lighter, as I mentioned, by as much as 100 kilograms compared to the outgoing W204. That's thanks to a 39% increase in the use of aluminium in the car's structure and body panels. And so the car is also a lot stiffer, and I picked up on that right away.
Now the engine family doesn't have a completely new range, it's just an updated engine family, and so you've got lots of tweaking. The engines are better on performance, and they're also better on efficiency, so they're getting a little bit greener overall. In India, we'll have to wait and see what the final engine lineup will be like. I've been telling you this throughout, though, that the 220 CDI is more or less a given, not the Bluetech. However, since that is the car I'm driving right now, let's quickly take a look at the specs on this one so you know just what I'm experiencing. The 7-speed gearbox has definitely been worked on. It was always a good unit, but it seems a little bit more responsive. The gear changes are a lot smoother, and I'm having a lot more fun with the paddle shifters as well. Having said that, I just want a more powerful engine to be able to really experience that. So I'm hoping that tomorrow I get the chance to check out one of the more powerful petrols, or perhaps even one of the more powerful diesels. But having said all that, I simply cannot wait to drive the AMG version when that comes out.
And that car lurks around the corner. But for now, let's stay grounded, shall we? And yeah, I will get to the C400 or one of the petrols on the second part of this drive tomorrow, as promised. The good news is that I'm not feeling the urge to switch. The C220 Bluetech is keeping me engaged and entertained. The improved handling and the stiffness helps that cause.
Just spend a few minutes driving this car and instantly, doesn't take you long, you pick up the fact that ride and handling, that's that one area they seem to have worked on, and the car is just a whole lot superior compared to the old one. Now, the C-Class was never one that was known for its absolutely sporty character. It was always the BMW 3 Series, right? Well, this car comes close now because it's the material quality. You've got a lot more aluminium, so the car is lither and lighter, and just the way it's been engineered overall seems to be towards that performance quotient being a whole lot higher.
And that's been intentional from Mercedes-Benz. The new C-Class seems to want to take on the road more readily, no matter what kind of road you take it to. But is that really what our Desi owners were asking for?
Now, while ride and handling and cornering is something that I've had lots of fun with, especially on this route, the nice twisty, cliffy roads on the route they tread, it's also just the overall characteristic of the car as well. It seems more compact, more ready for the road, and I like that character really. In India, remember, people are going to be wanting to sit at the back, and that's the other good news, that the suspension at the back doesn't feel too hard and yet doesn't feel softened up. Now, I have to wait and see what they do with the car that comes to India. They might tune it a little bit differently, but I have to say the car we have today, it's working really well for me. This is the optional Airmatic suspension, remember, and you've got to pay extra for that. About 1,400 euros is what they're saying. So in India, we'll have to wait and see what kind of spec sheet Mercedes finally brings in. But overall, for me, the ride and handling, that's the story when it comes to this new generation.
Yes, that Airmatic suspension is really rather special, and it's a segment first, by the way. The system uses adaptive dampers to make handling crisper and yet offer a cushioned ride overall. I would pay extra for it, assuming that it's going to be offered in India, of course. The car has different agility modes, as Mercedes likes to call it, like Audi's Drive Select, so you can go from comfort to Sport Plus, or drive sensibly in Eco mode too. The car is wider and has a longer wheelbase than its predecessor, which helps make the cabin more spacious.
Now we're going on about this whole tag of being called the Baby S. I'll tell you what, on the inside you certainly get a sense of that, perhaps more than the outside, because overall it's not just the materials, it's a sense of luxury that you get, more perceived sense than the predecessor. Not to say that the C-Class was drab or shabby in any way, but this one just seems a little bit more upmarket. The use of piano black, a little bit of the metal elements, and almost a hark back to a slight antique feel to all the knobs and switches. That is pretty nicely done. It may not appeal to everyone because a lot of people have a slightly sportier sensibility. Well, then you got BMWs for those people, so let's get back to this car. Now, what's nice about this particular package is that it's pretty high-end, and so you've got a whole lot that's been thrown in here. The use of the different colors, the brushed metal, and even the way that the overall door panel has been arranged, all really nice and different. The part I want to talk about, I'm not a huge fan, as some of you know, of this floating screen. It almost looks like an afterthought. The A-Class had it, and now it's become a part of most of the Mercedes family. Having said that, it gives you a lot more, and the overall updated command system is just a lot better than what you had earlier. That was drab and shabby. Now you get a nice command system, and it's got a few little tricks up its sleeve. What you see down here is no longer a flip open phone dialer. What you instead have is a little bit of a touchpad, pretty much like what you've seen on the MMI from Audi, and overall it just makes things a little bit easier. So you don't have to use the rotary dial. All you do is just quickly tap onto this. You can just navigate using your finger. There you go. I'm going to go into telephone, and click that. And then of course you can go ahead and write things as well. There you go. Or you can go ahead and punch the number as well that you want to. So I'm going to just use the touchpad to just write
9 2 0
Yeah, she takes a little while.
0
Well, you get the idea. I'm not going to actually dial anyone. And besides that, it's nice to also see that a lot of the carryovers from the S-Class in terms of the menu are here. So you get ambient lighting, you get the overall car menu, all of that is in here. It's nicely done, the vehicle menu. The animation is much better as well. Now, a look at the back seat. When you get into the back, all comparisons to the S-Class stop right away. Well, of course, you're not going to get the reclining seat and you're not going to get the massage function either. This is the C-Class. From the outside, the car gives you the impression that the back's going to be really cramped and it's not going to be so spacious or ample. So it's a nice little illusion because when you get inside, legroom's not too bad. I mean, of course, you can't stretch your legs out, but you get a decent sense of headroom, and the seat, fairly comfortable. I think on long drives, you might find that the recline angle isn't perfect, but then most cars don't always get it right. You have rear AC vents. You also have controls back here to adjust the temperature and the fan speed, and that's a nice little touch to have a digital screen which shows you that, pampers you just a little bit perhaps. The drop down armrest is not new to you. A little bit of space in there is also not new to you. Cup holders, also not new, but just a nice little funky design. It's a little different looking, and yeah, there you go. That's how it works.
Mercedes-Benz will offer the C300 Blue-Tech hybrid that offers 27.77 kilometers per liter. But no, we won't be getting it in India. We will likely get the 220 CDI as I mentioned, petrol, but we may get the C400 4MATIC with all-wheel drive and eventually the next generation C63 AMG 2. Which is why on day 2 I'm jumping into the C400 4MATIC to get a sense of how the car feels. It's definitely powerful, and the numbers say it all, don't they? The 7G-tronic transmission is very well married to this unit, and the car with me is dressed in the AMG trim.
333 horses, belted out by a nice powerful V6 under the hood. So in terms of driving character, very different to the car I had yesterday. In terms of styling, it is similar, though what we had yesterday was the avant-garde trim. This one is the AMG trim. Similar sort of an appeal in the front grille, though you see a nice combination of matte and chrome elements. Down here, the bumper gets a lot more aggressive, and well, that is pretty much in keeping with AMG styling. It's the headlamp that's of course common to all the trim levels, which is really the nice part of the story because it's got a nice organic feel to it in terms of just the way the styling has been carried out. And the car tends to look a little more compact than its predecessor, perhaps even more compact in terms of visual appeal than a car like the 3 Series because of this nice sort of a sloping coupe roofline that comes down. You've seen that on the new S as well. It's probably something that you're going to see more and more on the sedans from Mercedes-Benz. Of course, the CLA has it too, and this car looks a lot like the CLA, doesn't it? Back here, it's a bit of a wraparound tail lamp as well. Again, LED styling done really nicely and sharply. And as I said, AMG trim, so it's a different bumper at the back too. Take a look at all of this, very aggressive, and the twin tailpipes just adding to all of that.
There is a top-of-the-line exclusive trim with a classic front grille, and this grille has closing louvers for extra aerodynamics. Now that's completely Hollywood, eh? The C-Class is expected to arrive in its 5th generation avatar in India only around December or January. Mercedes-Benz India has its hands full in the meanwhile, as we will get the CLA 45 AMG and the GLA compact SUV. In my view, the C-Class still isn't the best driver's car. The BMW 3 Series has still got that covered. But in terms of style, space, luxury and comfort, the things that matter in India, the new C-Class is compelling and pushes the envelope far. The soon-to-be-launched Jaguar XE will be the car to watch, as it is the new C-Class that it will have to beat. And that is going to be a tough ask.
Delhi during rush hour. Not the place you want to be, right? Your day starts crawling through chaos and commotion, and all this just to get to work. Kailash figured that things may get a bit easier in the Maruti Celerio. Remember, it has the option of an automated manual gear shift which claims to offer the ease of an automatic and the fuel efficiency of a manual transmission. So with no clutch or gear shifts to worry about, it is the perfect car to combat bumper-to-bumper traffic.
Now this is a real world scenario, and today we're going to put the Celerio Automatic's claim to the test. Now the plan is pretty simple. I'm going to drive from my home here in Sector 50 Noida all the way to NDTV's office in GK1. But here's the catch, I never drive during rush hours. Right now it's 9 AM, the roads are going to be clogged beyond belief. Let's see if the Celerio Automatic can walk the walk and talk the talk.
The route for those alien to Delhi roads is through 22 kilometers of torturous traffic. There is a swifter route using the DND toll road too.
Now just to make this task a little more challenging, I'm ditching the DND flyway and taking the Akshardham route.
Yep, that's the scary one. Powering the Celerio is a compact K series 1-litre engine that's good for about 67 bhp and 90 Nm of torque. It's got adequate power to potter around town, but mind you, by no means is it fun to drive. Though the claimed mileage on this car is 23.1 km to the litre, the Celerio in rush hour returned a decent 18 km per litre. The real sweet deal is the pricing. The Celerio offers clutchless convenience of an automatic starting at an affordable 4,14,000 rupees. Wondering how Maruti managed to keep the automatic so frugal and affordable?
Now that's because it's not exactly a fully automatic unit, because it doesn't employ a torque converter. Now since it doesn't have a torque converter, you don't get the parking mode function on the gear shift. So what you essentially have is a 5-speed box with hydraulic actuators that engage and disengage the clutch and also help you shift gears. So essentially you get the comfort and convenience of an automatic gearbox with the fuel efficiency of a manual. Pretty neat, isn't it?
And it's way cheaper than the competition. Sample this. The Honda Brio Automatic is priced at 6 lakh rupees and the Hyundai Grand i10 Auto will set you back by 5,83,000 rupees. And they don't offer more than 13 to 15 kilometers per litre at best. The top-end Celerio could be all yours for just under 4.5 lakh rupees, making it the clear winner in the pricing sweepstakes. But to keep the sticker price competitive, Maruti has skimped on the safety features. Even the top-end trim for the automatic doesn't get you anti-lock brakes or ABS, nor does it have airbags. The sad part is that those safety features are not even available as optional equipment.
Prior to this review of ours, I did a bit of homework. I counted how many times I shift gears in a manual car for the same commute. Apparently, I shifted 118 times, and that too, it wasn't during the rush hour. Now today, it's a different story altogether. I don't have a clutch to stomp on or a gear to grapple with. My left leg is completely free of clutching, declutching duties. In fact, if I want, I could get a pedicure on the go.
Okay, so we now know what Kailash does in his free time. The AMT really worked like a charm through ring roads, thickest, toughest traffic, and it cut through city chaos like a hot knife through butter. So it's got a fair bit going for it. It's frugal, the automated gearbox offers a fatigue-free drive through chaotic city traffic, and the best bit, you don't have to break the bank to buy it.
So here I am at the office, and the entire journey took about 1 hour to complete, but it has been a very liberating drive with no clutch or gear to worry about. The good bits, the fuel efficiency. It is reading out a mileage of 18 kilometers to a litre, which is a lot more than the automatics out there. Plus the price, it's cheaper by more than ₹1,00,000 compared to the competition. Though I would like to mention there is one teeny-weeny niggle. There is a waiting period of 6 to 8 months on the AMT. So if you like what you see and you are contemplating a purchase, be ready to wait just a little while.
The Activa is the brand that's really made HMSI's fortunes in India. Not only has it outsold its own motorcycles, but in some months it has outsold all motorcycles. So anything that happens with this scooter is of significance to the market.
Now, being the top-selling two-wheeler brand in India and pretty much a household name with its 109cc reliable engine, the Honda Activa is now available in a slightly more powerful 125cc avatar. And not just a new engine, there are also new features like the optional front disc brake with the combined braking system, optional alloys and brand new instrument cluster, and some tweaks to the overall design to give it a slightly more premium feel. Now currently in this segment you have the Vespas, the Suzukis as well as Mahindras with their 125cc bikes, but now with Honda foraying into this segment with the 125cc Activa, things could get a lot more exciting.
The Activa 125 gets Honda's patented eco technology for better mileage by improving combustion, reducing friction and optimizing transmission. The claimed mileage is 59 kilometers per litre, while its biggest rival, the Suzuki Access, offers around 45 kilometers to the litre.
Now the new 125cc engine feels peppy, the throttle response is really quick and pretty perfect for city riding conditions. But the important thing is that the acceleration is really smooth and also that you get sufficient power in the low and mid-range. But the overall feel of the engine still remains that of the 109cc engine. Not that I'm complaining, and probably it was intentional from Honda.
The Activa 125 handles quite well, especially with the braking being quite precise with the front disc brakes. Ride quality is decent thanks to the telescopic suspension and the bigger 12-inch rims in front, but we would have liked for the suspension setup to be a bit softer given our roads. The design of the Activa 125 isn't radically new, but it is still fresh enough to look different from its 109cc sibling. CNB fans on our Facebook page did mention to us that the design did remind them of the Hero Maestro and the Honda Aviator scooters. The Activa is available in two variants, Standard and Deluxe. The latter gets the 190mm front disc brakes, while the combined braking system or CBS is standard. Despite its late entry, recreating the Activa magic in the 125cc segment might not be too difficult for Honda. Prices for the two variants are 52,500 and 58,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi.